the latest appliances, children who were above average, and a rosy outlook on life. In fact, the Cold War was a period of unceasing anxiety in which the lingering shadow of fascism was darkened by another kind of cloud. In my teenage years, due to atomic tests, the radioactive element strontium-90 was found in babies' teeth at 50 times the natural level. Virtually every town had a civil defense warden urging the construction of backyard fallout shelters stocked with canned vegetables, Monopoly boards, and cigarettes. Children in big cities were issued metal tags embossed with their names for identification should the worst happen. Growing older, I followed in my father's footsteps and became a professor. Among my specialties was Eastern Europe, where countries were dismissed as satellites orbiting a totalitarian sun, and where it was widely thought that nothing interesting ever happened and nothing of importance would ever change. Marx's dream of a worker's paradise had degenerated into an Orwellian nightmare. Conformity was the highest good, informants kept watch on every block, whole countries lived behind barbed wire, and governments insisted that down was up and black was white. Then, when change did come, it was with a velocity that amazed. In June 1989, the decade-old demands of dock workers and the inspiration of a pope born in Wadowice brought democratic governance to Poland. That October, Hungary became a democratic republic, and in early November, the Berlin Wall was breached. In those miraculous days, our television brought news each morning of what had long seemed impossible. I can still picture the decisive moments of my native Czechoslovakia's Velvet Revolution, so called because it was secured without the widespread cracking of heads or gunfire. The time was a frosty afternoon in late November. In Prague's historic Wenceslav Square, a crowd of 300,000 joyously rattled keys to emulate bells tolling the end of communist rule. On a balcony overlooking the throng stood Václav Havel, the valiant playwright who 6 months earlier had been a prisoner of conscience and 5 weeks later would be sworn in as president of a free Czechoslovakia. In that instant, I was among the many who felt that democracy had aced its severest test. The once mighty USSR, made fragile by economic weakness and ideological weariness, shattered like a dropped vase on a stone floor, liberating Ukraine, the Caucasus, the Baltics, and Central Asia. The nuclear arms race subsided without blowing any of us to bits. In the East, South Korea, the Philippines, and Indonesia cast off longtime dictators. In the West, Latin America's military rulers made way for elected presidents. In Africa, the freeing of Nelson Mandela, another prisoner who became president, engendered hopes of a regional renaissance. Around the globe, countries meriting the label democracy expanded from 35 to more than 100. In January 1991, George H.W. Bush told Congress that the end of the Cold War has been a victory for all humanity, and America's leadership was instrumental in making it possible. Across the Atlantic, Havel added, Europe is attempting to create a historically new kind of order through the process of unification, a Europe in which no one more powerful will be able to suppress anyone less powerful, in which it will no longer be possible to settle disputes with force. Today, more than a quarter century later, we must ask what has happened to that uplifting vision. Why does it seem to be fading instead of becoming more clear? Why, per Freedom House, is democracy now under assault and in retreat? Why are many people in positions of power seeking to undermine public confidence in elections, the courts, the media, and on the fundamental question of Earth's future, science? Why have such dangerous splits been allowed to develop between rich and poor, urban and rural, those with